Your voice, your opinion, your community. Fact TV, free speech, protected.
Why would we watch this movie after we crapped on the last one?
Where is Art the Clown?
And seriously, what would the trickster have done if she didn't have a VCR?
All this and more on Gory Storytime.
Warning. Gory Storytime is a horror movie review show by a son and his dad who thought that letting his 5-year-old watch scary movies was acceptable. If you are offended by horror or talk about blood and gore by a child, or if you don't want horror movies from the 60s through today spoiled, then there is a remote stuck in your couch cushion next to potato chip crumbs. Use it. And of course, parental discretion is advised.
Why? You didn't use any.
Shut up and start the show.
Welcome to Gory Storytime. I'm your host, Jason.
I'm his co-host and his father, Craig, and we don't usually do this, but we're doing the sequel to last week's episode today. We've done sequels, but never back-to-back, really.
Almost never.
With the exception of we did the 3 Netflix Fear Street movies.
As soon as they came out.
And that was one each week, right? So,
yeah.
Like we
would be reviewing one as the next one was coming out.
Basically. But that's the only time we've done this. But anyway, quickly to answer those questions. Apparently we're masochists in his own franchise and leave a DVD?
Probably.
A streaming link?
Just a laptop
Something?
with the files. Who knows?
I mean, a hard drive? A thumb drive? Like, I don't know.
Email. Who cares? Text.
Anywho, so here's the premise of this movie. Now remember, this is the sequel, so they had to change it up. In the first movie, there was a woman who was trick-or-treating with kids she was babysitting, and someone stuck a VCR cassette into
one of
their bags, a video cassette. For you youngins out there, that's what us old people called Netflix.
No.
No.
Trick-or-treating and getting tapes was Netflix?
No, videotapes were. That was our
Those
version.
weren't Netflix.
Anyway, that was basically, we would rent them and, anywho. So, in this one, it's vastly different. Because then she puts in the tape and there's like 3 short stories that were all scary or whatever. This one, there's a woman alone at home and a guy in a mask puts a tape on her doorstep. And then she watches it and there's 8 short stories. And
drastically different from the last one.
I mean, but it was still on a videotape and it was on Halloween night. But other than that, there was no connection. Anywho, that's basically what it is, because each story is its own thing. And we'll get to that later. Let's see. I'm trying to think, is there anything else to know? I mean, there's literally 8 short stories and a wraparound story, making it an anthology movie, which everyone that watches the show regularly knows we love. Because, as is the case in a lot of them, if one's not that great, maybe the next one will be really good. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because and they packed 8 of them in this hour and a half, so you have a better chance of some of them being good, considering they were all done by different people.
Unlike the last one.
Which was all done by one guy. Yeah, exactly. Anywho, why don't we throw on the trailer so you can see exactly what we're talking about.
Oh, great spirit of Halloween. Why is Robert not calling me?
Trick or treat.
Aren't you all a little late to be out this young?
You can't just open the door for anyone. They could be infected. They could be crazy. They think it's Halloween.
I think it is Halloween.
Christ's sake, get the door!
Stop it! There's no monster!
All right.
Well, that showed an awful lot that I believe it shouldn't have.
Like, reveals to multiple of the short stories. But, you know, if you haven't seen it, don't rewatch that too thoroughly before you watch it, because it'll spoil things, because you'll be like, oh, this is that one. Oh, this is that one.
And like few movies that we can do this for, I can say, before we go in depth and we spoil this for you, it is up on one of those free ones.
Yeah.
Tubi.
Was it Tubi? Okay.
It was on Tubi.
So you can watch it free with commercials. If you have internet access, just stream it on Tubi. It's there.
And then we can't possibly spoil it for you.
And they do a pretty good job with their commercial breaks where they try to do it in between
as it's
scenes.
going to black.
Yeah, they do pretty well compared to some of the other sites where they just throw it in anywhere.
Yeah.
Like even YouTube where we post
like
our
I've seen,
videos.
Yeah, I've seen bad ad placement.
A lot. But anyway, now before we get into the behind the scenes information for this one, what we really came here to do is make some money. And the way we do that is we allow large corporations to send us cash, and then we turn around and tell you how great their products are. Because, you know...
I mean, that's what all advertisement is.
Yes, but most advertisement for shows isn't done by the hosts. But we're
bringing it back to Alfred Hitchcock, all right?
But we've slapped our name on hundreds of good products over the years. So, you know, when you see our seal of approval, you know it's quality crap. But anyway, this week they backed up a Brinks truck and told us we should tell you that these are good. Gory Story Time is brought to you by Puck Fumpkin, the only chain of stores that refuses to sell anything with a pumpkin spice flavor. Are you a pumpkin spice flavor fan? Then you need to go somewhere the hell else. We have no time for your basic bitchness here at Puck Fumpkin. We sell coffee, donuts, cookies, cakes, ice cream, and more. Basically anything you've seen with a pumpkin spice flavor, but it's even better because we don't put that crap in it. Puck Fumpkin, because puck you, that's why.
And by How to Be a Creep, the first ever beginner's guide to giving people chills. Lessons include standing perfectly still and staring, odd behaviors to exhibit, and the classic walk straight at them saying nothing, even if they try to speak to you. How to Be a Creep also includes tutorials on standing over sleeping women and children. So if you get off on making people's hair stand up on their arms, get your copy today.
All right. Now, let's get into the behind-the-scenes stuff. And I will be honest with you, when we do a lot of these, we go to IMDb because they have a good selection of behind-the-scenes information for a lot of movies. But because we are watching, like, horror movies, especially, like, lower-budget ones, they tend to have a lot less information. Sometimes,
like on the big ones, like The Shining, they had hundreds.
Oh, yeah.
But
like, this had 2.
Right.
And it had one piece of information that was a goof. So those 3 ended up on here. I've stretched it to 11 because, unlike some people, I'm actually willing to work for this show, and I actually did a bunch of research. I'm willing to do research so that I can make a 10-page rebuttal to someone's meme.
That no one will ever read.
And just to, like, shred every possible piece of their opinion. So this I'm actually doing because it means something to me. So imagine. Anyway, do you want to go first? Or?
Sure. The film was released on video on demand and digital on October 6th, 2015, and had a DVD release on February 2nd, 2016.
Like the previous installment, All Hallows Eve 2 is composed mostly of shorts that existed before being put together as an anthology movie.
The address of the house in the opening scene is 237, a possible nod to the infamous room 237 from The Shining.
A different version of Mr. Tricker's Treats, Mr. Tricker's Treat, can be seen in the film, because that was from 2011. It features an alternate cut of the ending done by the producers of the anthology.
There were 14 writers for this movie.
On the video-on-demand version of the film, the audio at the end of Mr. Tricker's Treat is messed up. The sound of the door slamming and a portion of the music are missing and appear incorrectly over the credits for the short film. The audio is correct in the DVD version.
Unlike the first All Hallows Eve, these segments were written and directed by different people and were unrelated prior to this film.
Yeah, it wasn't like a bunch of friends got together.
It wasn't like a whole bunch of stories to do with some creepy guy in a pumpkin mask.
Right. Like the other one was
all about art.
Well, 2 out of 3 were about the clown and the wraparound.
Right.
Anyway, there were 11 credited directors for the 8 segments and wraparound story.
It's also called All Hallows Eve: The Reaping.
The 8 segment titles in order are Jack Attack, The Last Halloween, The Offering, Descent, M is for Masochist, A Boy's Life, and Mr. Tricker's Treat. And Alexia was the last one.
Instead of Art the Clown from the original, the wraparound story has a creepy guy in a pumpkin mask called the Trickster. Spelled Trickerste. Well, no, not that way.
I love that he's so smart.
Yes.
Anyway, so there we go. That's everything that is to be learned on the internet about that movie. Basically.
It's more information than you learn watching the movie.
I mean, well, considering it's not about the particular
The movies
stories,
aren't about the movies?
The facts aren't about the movie, it's about the making of the movie.
Which is the movie?
No, it's facts about the movie would be things that take place on film. That's not what this is. Anywho. Oh, and also, we like to give you the score from Rotten Tomatoes. Rotten Tomatoes, for those who don't know, they take all the professional reviews that they can get their hands on. They have ones that they automatically get the ratings from. And if they give a positive review, they add it to the list of positive reviews, negative review, and they just, out of 100%, what percent said positive overall.
Absolutely.
So if you don't like the number, it's not Rotten Tomatoes' fault. It's actually the fault of the movie, because it meant that most of the critics hated it. Or it was the fault of the critics, depending on, sometimes politics get involved, sometimes they don't like a certain genre.
Like horror movies or
horror
comedies.
Horror and comedy tend to get hit hard, yeah. Anyway, so the critics
did not technically have a consensus. This keeps happening with these little movies.
Mm-hmm.
So I went in and I did some work. All right, it had 2 reviews.
And?
One was positive and the other one was negative. And my good math skills tells me that is a 50%.
I mean, yes, the consensus is out of the 2 critics who watched this movie,
Right.
That's their
Because the bad one gave it a 50.
Let's see. And then the people who also get to vote, positive or negative, have it at 16%. I think that's a little low, to be fair.
A little, yeah. I get that. Like, it's low.
It is. Like, I liked this better than the first one. And if you haven't seen our review of the first one, go back. It's a lot of fun.
I mean, yeah.
I have friends that watch, and, they like to message me and, voicemails. Oh my God, I can't believe it. I'm laughing so hard. You guys, so I like hearing that. Because that is part of the show, is the humor. That's why we have those real commercials that actually exist. Humor.
I'm getting paid fat for that, all right? No, I just am fat. I see what you were doing. All right.
You saw where I was going to obviously go. I mean, it might be fruit, but it is low-hanging, so I'll go for it. Anyway, let's see. Instead of doing least favorite thing and most favorite thing, what segment was your least favorite?
Well, just because earlier when we were going through everything to try finding out the stuff about this movie, I didn't even remember that it existed. I can't even think of the name of it. The Offering? Where the guy and his son are driving to
somewhere,
a creature to give it a pile of meat that they forgot at home.
Yeah. I mean...
And then it's over after they get there and don't give the thing the meat?
Yeah, it's very...
forgettable.
It's short, it's quick, it's to the lack of point.
Yeah.
Like, they don't give a lot of information, which is okay. Like, I get what they were going for. The problem is, at the end, you should have had at least
more?
Yeah.
Like,
I think it was the ending
insinuated
of that
like,
oh, I know what
someone
happened at the
got eaten,
end.
right?
Right. I'm trying not to do that to people that haven't seen it.
Okay, well...
You can't say spoiler
watch
alert
it
afterwards. Anyway, my least favorite is the wraparound because it was a poor, pale ripoff of the wraparound from the first one. And as much
you
as
didn't even care for the wraparound of that one.
As much as I talked crap about the first one, like, don't rip off that. It wasn't good.
Yeah, well...
Like, that was my least favorite thing. What was your favorite of the segments?
It was kind of a toss-up for me, so I'm going to go with the one I don't think you're going with, which is it called Descent? The one with the woman that found her friend?
Okay.
Right? And then she ends up, like, locked in an elevator, and there's a lot going on in this one.
In that one, a woman goes to her friend's house and has to hide because she finds out that there's someone she finds her friend dead, and there was someone in the apartment that was then trying to get kind of romantic with her. It looked like it was creepy.
Yeah.
And she hid, and weeks later she was stuck in an elevator, and she realized who the guy was, and it was
the guy. Right.
Yeah, it was a pretty good. And that's not the twist. So, like, you know, we're not... That's...
Like, she ends up stuck on an elevator with the guy that she watched, like, mess with her friend's corpse.
But she does not want that guy to figure out who she is or that she was there. All right. Mine, boy, it's kind of a toss-up. I'm not sure if I was going to say Boy's Life or M is for Masochist, but I'm going to go with the Masochist one.
Yeah.
There's a carnival... And they're like, hey, this person is a masochist, loves to be tortured. Step on up, pay, and, like, throw knives at him and, like, try to hit him. It's, like, the goal is to cause him pain.
He likes it, don't worry.
Yeah, and he's got, like, a mask over his mouth. And the third kid to step up or whatever, I think it was the third one, realizes that it was his abusive father, and he was able to get revenge because they pulled the mask off, and he's like begging, please don't do it, it hurts, oh please. And he got to harm his father by throwing sharp objects at him and things.
Yeah,
I know that kind of gives it away, but
it doesn't really matter that it gives it away.
Really,
it was like
twist.
a 2-minute.
Yeah, it was like the shortest one, but it was really cool because I like the idea of abusive parents getting their comeuppance.
Especially at the hands of the child.
Instead of being hoisted upon their own petard, he was hoisted upon a spinning background that you get knives thrown at.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I was cool with that.
Oh, yeah.
All right. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being Maniac.
Right.
From 82?
84.
Early 80s. 10 being like Exorcist level high quality. Where would you put this?
I mean, it's certainly closer to the Maniac side of things than the Shining side of things.
Well, here's
the
the
Exorcist
thing.
Side of things.
You gave the first one a 5.
I think that this is like... I'm gonna go with a 6.
I gave the last one, 2?
Yes.
Well, I'm giving this one a 5, which is a bump of 3 whole points. I will say, it's hit or miss with a couple of the stories. There's a couple that I was like, eh. But the first story was pretty good. I liked Jack Attack. I liked Descent. I liked Emma's for Masochist, and I liked A Boy's Life. I didn't like the twist on Mr. Tricker's Treat. I didn't like Alexia being in Spanish without subtitles and just
with no explanation as to why suddenly one of them was just in Spanish.
Right. The Offering was kind of weak. The Last Halloween was
I liked
okay.
The Last Halloween.
It was okay, but like
if it wasn't for the bad special effects, I
might
think
have
that
helped.
might have been the best one.
But I would say, so there's only 2 that I would really call bad, and then 2 that could have been better if they, like the ending of Mr. Tricker's Treat. I don't know what
Could have been way better.
I don't know what the original ending was, but they changed it for this. Was one of the facts. Maybe I should try to find
the alternate ending.
Yeah, just so I could see how it originally was, because I didn't care for the ending of this one. It was too
on the nose,
unrealistic, because it was out bright sunny day. Like what happens out in a public area in the bright sun doesn't seem as likely to happen.
Be hidden
way.
as what was going on in the basement.
Right, where
it's like
made sense.
He's in his house alone. Nobody's going to see him, but out on his front lawn, really?
That's exactly. So, I mean, it's definitely better than the first one, but it's nowhere near as good as the spin-off from the first one.
Definitely not.
But this is unrelated as far as writers, directors, or anything, so there's that.
I don't even think it's the same production company.
I mean, it's whoever had the rights to the name All Hallows Eve, but apparently they didn't have the rights to Art the Clown because they threw that thing in there and it just...
And they didn't even, like, end the wraparound story.
I mean,
they were just like, oh, the shorts are done?
And then he came out just like the last one and killed her.
There was more in the last one.
Well, because it didn't just come out and kill her. Because there was more in the last one, but you spoiled that too. Anyway, anything else you really want to say about this one? I mean, I would say definitely if you liked the first one, I think this one's actually better. Just go into it knowing that it's not related to Art the Clown character.
If you want to sit down...
And if you want to watch Art the Clown, watch Terrifier.
Terrifier, and then probably in October, Terrifier 2.
Yeah, don't be surprised when in October we bring you our review of Terrifier 2, because we've now done everything in its universe, quote unquote, even though this doesn't really feel like it is, but it's part 2, so it technically is.
But yeah.
That's about all I can say is definitely watch it. And then, of course, you can always throw up the stuff on the side there, and we can do that.
Yes.
That.
You can go to Fact TV channel 1076, Thursdays at 8:30 p.m. and Fridays at 7 p.m.
You can like us on Facebook. And when I say us, I mean like Gory Storytime.
Yes.
We're over 700 likes on that page. Fact TV. You know, you can even watch it stream live on Fact TV. They're probably streaming this now, see? And if you're watching this on YouTube, that wave still applies.
Because you're still watching.
Yeah. And anyone that watches is the bomb.
I mean, basically, yeah. You can go to factdate.com.
You can.
They have a whole lot of the episodes of this. They have a whole bunch of other entertainment. Because unlike most places...
A lot of like these little community TV channels tend to be like billboards with music playing, where it's like, oh, on Saturday this, and every once in a while it'll be like a school board meeting, which they do the school board meetings. Don't get me wrong, like if you want that information, they have it. But they also have people that come in, and like we've been doing this for quite a while. Like
this makes what, year
you were
8?
13, right, when we
Yes.
started? And you're 21, so for over 8 years, we've been doing this show. And we've seen shows come and go, but we've seen shows that have had just as much longevity, and some that didn't end until the creators passed on, unfortunately, you know? So, like, there's a lot of content that's being made in the Southern Vermont area for this specific station, and it's kind of cool.
A lot of cool people.
Yeah, absolutely. There's music videos, all sorts of good stuff. Anyway, you can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Craig Jakes, all one word, all lowercase.
I am at Jiggly Firm Brain. I only tweet things that he says that I find funny, either in or out of context.
And he just tweeted something today.
I did.
And then shared it on Facebook, a copy of the tweet.
Yes, I did.
And tagged me in it. And I was like, okay.
Maybe it'll get some more traction if I put it on Facebook for people to see.
I doubt it.
Yeah, me too, but like...
But it has nothing to do with the show, usually. It's just things that I say that he's like, wow, that's funny the way he said it. Or, you know, whatever, and then he throws it up there.
Oh, yeah.
And you can check out my YouTube channel, Juggalo Jakes. Just look for Gory Storytime. It'll come up with 2 channels. Come up with Fact TV's and mine. Like and subscribe to both.
Absolutely.
Mine's got music videos and sketches we've done, all sorts of stuff. But anyway, all right.
And until next week, with something we're not sure of yet.
Yeah, we'll probably try to come up with a series of 4 things, because we haven't done that in a while.
I've been your host, Jason.
I'm his co-host and father, Craig.
And sweet dreams.